Good evening, everybody. Anybody know any good jokes? Knock, knock, what? All right, I'll do my best. Oh, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? So this is the 15th annual. What is this called? The 15th annual Wings and Wheels, right? I see a lot of wings out there. I expected to see some really nice old classic cars. The only classic car I see is my 1991 Toyota pickup out in the parking lot. Alright, so how's the food? Okay, great. How are the drinks? Keep drinking, my jokes will get funnier. I guarantee it. Okay, well, let's start out by telling you the events of the evening. I will do the comedy bits, about half an hour of jokes, followed by the Soul Ducks. These guys are from George Washington, home of the magic mushroom, and hopefully they haven't imbibed in any of their homegrown condiments before they start their set. So so let's see, we're going to do the Soul Ducks, and I'm going to do my set, and I think, so we've got some pilots out here, right? Got some pilots? Yeah! Well, good, because we have something in common tonight, because I'm going to be winging it. So I went over it very well. Alright, so let's start off by what day is today? Anybody know what day it is? Anybody heard of D-Day?
What day is it?
Anybody heard of D-Day? D-Day. In case you don't know, today is the day that the Americans and the British Canadians landed on Normandy Beach. Now you guys remember that bit from school? Yeah! Yeah, there we go. Well, there's a couple things about D-Day that I want to talk to you about. First of all, a lot of these guys that were actually in the D-Days in World War II, God bless them, but I'm kind of glad that they're starting to move on. And I'll tell you why. Because I was a paratrooper when I served in the 82nd Airborne, and you can never tell these guys in D-Day anything about how hard it was, because they always come back with, yeah, well, I had my buddy's guts, and I was wearing it as a necklace, and I was catching shrapnel in my teeth. So you can't really match that kind of a story. Another thing about D-Day is there was not just a D-Day in France, there were also the D-Days over in the Pacific. And you gotta have these guys out in the Pacific in these beautiful, pristine islands, and they're getting shot at by the Japanese, and as they're sitting there bleeding and dying of dehydration, they're thinking, boy, this would be a great place to bring the wife and kids if the Japanese weren't trying to kill me. So anyway, speaking of Japanese, any Japanese pilots out there? Any Japanese pilots? Now, I had a friend who was a Japanese pilot. It took 10 years for me to realize, because he had that heavy accent, that he wasn't going around with a patch on his eye and trying to find sunken treasure. Because he had that heavy accent, he was a pilot. So anyway, last thing about D-Day, this is my last joke about D-Day. Actually, my second to last joke. Coming from the town of Swim, I wasn't a very good student, so I always thought that D-Day was the day report cards came out. D-Day, the day report cards came out. And then the last thing is, anybody from Swim here? Anybody know what Swim is? Little town on the coast, Lavender Festival. Well, Swim is a boring town, and what we used to do for fun was we dress up as Japanese soldiers on D-Day, and we go down to the VFW and order kamikazes. So that was our fun on D-Day night. So anyway, everybody having a good time tonight? All right, so you're probably wondering, this guy is so funny. What's his story? What's his background, right? Well, my background is I'm a graduate of Wazoo. I'm a teacher. I've written 4 books, and I spent the last 12 years teaching over in the Middle East. And you guys think that it's hot here? Well, it's so hot in the Middle East. It's so hot in the Middle East. It is so hot in the Middle East. So hot that camels come with air conditioning. Pretty hot over there. Yeah, let me tell you, I started doing stand-up in the Middle East, and it's a little bit different over there. On the good side, nobody really knows that you're stealing other people's material. On the bad side, if you get caught, they cut off one of your hands. And if your material is that bad, they cut off something else. But did I tell you I was a cougar? All right, so it looks like we're having another great experience. I had a bad experience doing comedy about a month ago. Any nurses here? Any nurses? Well, I had a really bad experience, and just don't get our attention. I had a bad experience with a nurse's benefit about a month ago. I didn't realize nurses don't like jokes about gynecologists. Even more so, they don't like jokes about gynecologists and golf. Even more than that, they don't like jokes about nurses, gynecologists, and holes in one. So that's one thing. I had a really bad experience with nurses, so I'm glad there's not a lot of nurses here tonight. Although it kind of looks like I'm dying up here on stage, so I might need a nurse after a few minutes here. So thank you for that obligatory laugh. Okay, so how many of you guys flew in here tonight? Yeah. You flew in here tonight? How many of you guys flew in here but you were driving a car? Yeah, right. I know all about that. In my younger days, I used to hang out in Chelan, and I know that in Chelan, you always remember coming, and you always remember leaving, but you really don't remember that much in between. So that's why they say Chelan is a great place for dates. Great place for court dates, sentencing dates, and release from jail dates. Also a great place for bonding, especially when it comes to bail bonding. Especially when it comes to bail bonding. So, thank you for that. Another obligatory laugh over there. Did I tell you guys I was a comedian? Yes, that's what I'm doing up here. So anyway, here we are in hangar 30. I had a little bit of, how should I say, consternation when I heard we were in hangar 30, because that's only 12 away from hangar 18, right? Where they keep the UFOs and the alien bodies. You know about this stuff? Well, my wife and I also have a hangar 18. That's where we keep those shirts that we don't talk about. Like the one that says, I'm with stupid, Hooters, and what was the last one we have? I don't even remember what the last one. Oh yes, the last one was Spring Anagram. Okay, so did I tell you I was a comedian? Anybody want to hear a joke? Yeah. After, it's fun. Okay, how's the food? Food's good. How's the comedian? That's just good. All right. So you guys are talking about hangar 18. You guys into conspiracies? Into conspiracies? I think that there's just too many conspiracies today. You've got conspiracies about conspiracies. And I'll give you an example. One example is they say that they never went to the moon. Have you guys heard this? That they never went to the moon. You guys hear that? Isn't that crazy? Because they also say that we found UFOs and aliens on the moon. So how could we find aliens on the moon if we never went to the moon, right? So a pretty big conspiracy there, and I think there are too many conspiracies. And I'm into conspiracies. I actually wrote a book about conspiracies. Any Freemasons here? Anybody in a secret society? Good, see? Now, I actually, with the inspiration for my book, and thank you for participating, sir. Good. Because I joined the secret society, right? It was so secret, after I paid $500, they wouldn't even tell me where the meetings were. It was that secret, right? So, pretty secret society there. So, anyway, another conspiracy people are talking about is, you guys hear about Malaysian Air? Malaysian Air, you hear about it? You know, there's some good news and some bad news about it. Good news about Malaysian Air, they found it. Bad news, it's in the Bermuda Triangle. So, you know, what are you going to do about that? And another thing in the news is, you guys hear about this Bruce Jenner? Bruce Jenner, do you hear about Bruce Jenner? Well, now we can answer that age-old question, hey man, how's your old lady? Right? Because back in the old days, we used to ask her, and I know you guys are thinking that, oh sure, excuse me, that's, I had some Taco Bell before I came to the vegan here. See, I know you guys are saying, oh boy, that Bruce Jenner, how weird he went and turned himself into a woman. But I know you're also thinking on your own time that, yeah, if I had Hooters, I might never have had a reason to leave the house. That's one thing about Bruce Jenner. And another thing about Bruce Jenner is, or about these sex changes, and I'll be quite honest with you, I used to think about having a sex change because I wanted to date those girls at Starbucks. Not to have a Starbucks here, but they have a lot of girls there that girls there. Anyway. I tell you, it was really hot in the Middle East. Okay, so how's the food? All right. So, how many pilots are actually left here? I gotta ask you guys a question. How many of you guys are in the Mile High Club? Mile High Club? Anybody? There's one. Anybody else in the Mile High Club? There. There's another one. Yeah. Now, if you don't know what the Mile High Club is, that's where you supposedly go up above 1 mile at about 6,000 feet or higher, and you have sex on the airplane. Now, I am not a pilot, but I am in the Mile High Club, and that's because I fly Delta Airlines, and every time I fly their airlines, I get screwed. So I'm also in the Mile High Club. In fact, I do a lot of flying. I actually put the freak in the frequent flyer. So, and thank you again, sir, for participating. All right, so I see a lot of people are camping tonight. How many people are camping? Camping, anybody? Couple of people are camping. Well, I was camping last week, and I didn't know how long I'm going to have this story before I think everybody just walks out of a hangar. But anyway, so I'm camping about a month ago up on San Juan. So anyway, I think I'm going to close my set. John, are we about ready to boogie tonight? All right, well, normally when I do these gigs, I don't introduce the guy coming after me, so tonight I'm going to make sure that I do because he's probably the only one listening. So tonight I'm going to introduce John and Phyllis And I forget your friend's name, but the Soul Ducks out of Joyce, Washington, they're going to come up in a few minutes and they're going to rock and roll you. So thanks a lot for your time. Matthew, Heines, you guys have a great evening, and thanks for having me over.